Being able to work backwards is very important in many aspects of building a business, building a sales career, building your leadership efforts, whatever you're doing in business. Being able to work backwards is an important skill. Another way of thinking about this is being able to look ahead and being able to understand what are all the steps required to get to an objective, and then understanding what kind of time should be factored in to get to that point. Here's the way it works. Where do you want to be at the end of the incoming year? And when you work backwards, you will think, okay, I want to have a certain number of, let's say, events completed. I want to do 12 events during the year that's coming up. Well, what's involved in putting together 12 events? Do you have the people associated with it? Do you have the locations associated with it? Do you have the people who will attend the event? Do you have the subject matter? Do you have the marketing components that are required in order to let people know what's going on? Have you built in time to allow for other people's schedule and their need to get it on their calendar, the need to convince them, the need to make sure that they're actually going to participate? When you think through it in that way, what you realize is you need a lot of time to do some things because there are lots of factors that can come into play. Whenever you see an organization that's doing really well, they do something and a lot of people come out, they have a deployment of a lot of new products, they have a rollout that really seems to be going smoothly, that always happens as a result of a lot of back-end work. And more often than not, the people are thinking backwards. How do they do this in order to have the outcome that that they want? I know, for example, I'm often asked to speak at a conference, and they might be planning that conference a year in advance. And so they might select me as a speaker and select some other speakers, and they're factoring in all the other things they have to do along the way to make those things happen. So when you're missing milestones and you're missing dates and you're not accomplishing everything you'd like, it might really just come down to the fact that you haven't planned it properly in advance and you haven't thought through the process, whatever that is. Now, this applies to everything you do. It applies to getting out there in the market in a broader way. It applies to, as I mentioned, events. It applies to hiring people. It applies to everything you're doing. You have to look at it and say, okay, what are the pieces that are required leading up to that? And often those pieces have to happen in a long period of time before the actual date. And also, there's a lot of I would say unglamorous work that happens in the process that you have to factor in. And sometimes you look at someone and you say, wow, how did they do that? How were they able to pull that together? Well, you can be sure that it didn't just happen like that. Now, you do reach a point where you have a critical mass of people that you're working with and people who know you, and often you can pull those things together rather quickly. But usually that comes from months and years of seeding, so to speak, of getting these things in place so that when you need them, they are there. So if you are interested in achieving bigger goals and making some things happen that are bigger for you, you can do that, but you have to reverse engineer the process. You have to work backwards. You have to look at the date that you want to see those things happening. And then you have to look at what's involved along the way. What are the steps that are involved? And give yourself plenty of room for those things that you don't anticipate, those things that you just can't see in advance. And also just room for people to not make decisions, not get back to you, not decide, missteps, going down the wrong path. These are all important when you're trying to factor things in. If you like this tip, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked it. You can subscribe to my channel by clicking the icon with my photograph, and make sure you share this with someone that you know will benefit from this tip. I'll see you next time.